On this day in 1980, the Treasure Valley hit the silver screen in a big way. Clint Eastwood's Bronco Billy hit theaters across the country. The film was shot across the Treasure Valley over 2 months in the fall of 1979, from Boise all the way up to Ontario, Oregon. Clint Eastwood wasn't the only familiar face that appeared in the film.
Bronco Billy!
Are those real bullets?
Clint Eastwood's Bronco Billy tells the story of a struggling stuntman trying to make it big with his traveling Wild West show. The real-life traveling show landed here in Boise.
Right up here, guys.
Production of the major motion picture. Early on in Eastwood's career,
They lined the main street of Meridian.
Idahoans flocked just to get a glimpse of the action. Hundreds of folks ended up being extras in the film.
All right, everybody up against the wall.
Like this scene, a foiled robbery of a Meridian bank.
Please meet 7, Mr. Bronco.
God, he looks young.
KTVB reporter Roger Simmons ended up in the film, playing a local reporter interviewing Bronco Billy McCoy.
When I forgot my second line, I said, "What's the guy's name?" He goes, Collerton. You know, get it right. You only have 2 lines.
Simmons was on the crime beat at News Channel 7, chasing down some of the biggest stories to be told. He found a unique angle that landed him in the thick of production that captured the community's interest.
I was going to do a feature on a gal that had quit her job at MK, real good job, to be Sandra Locke's stand-in.
What Simmons didn't know, KTVB general manager Bob Kruger had met the director of the film on a flight into Boise. There, they struck a deal.
He was going to try to find a station that had a live band. Well, back then, Channel 7 was the only station that had a live band. And so Bob said, "Boy, do I have a deal for you." And he goes, "Oh, by the way, I'd like to borrow a reporter and a photographer."
The director and producer stopped by KTVB to visit. Simmons thought they were simply setting up an interview with Clint Eastwood. But after a series of questions like, "Are you part of the Actors Guild?" Simmons asked a critical question.
"What the heck's going on here? Why are you asking me all these questions?" And he goes, "Well, you're going to be in the movie." That was when I found out I was going to be in the movie. They'd never said anything to me.
Act like a reporter, they said.
Days later, the KTVB reporter was on set, along with hundreds of Idahoans. The scene, the aftermath of a failed bank robbery.
They gave me a sheet of paper with my 2 lines, maybe about 10 minutes before we did the shoot. And so I'm trying to memorize these 2 lines. They weren't that tough.
Oh, here's Mr. What's his last name?
Like I said, I forgot the only line.
The movie went on to make close to $25 million, and Simmons got his small part. He initially made a few $100s, but he says a chunk of it went to the Screen Actors Guild. But he remembers getting a funny phone call from his wife.
And she said, "I got an envelope here with from the Screen Actors Guild. You want me to open it?" "Sure." She opens it and she said, "There's a check in here." I said, "How much is it for?" And she goes, I think it was like $1,500 or something like that. I went, "Oh, well, now I don't feel as bad about having to join the Screen Actors Guild." And I still get residuals. Of course, they've gone down. I mean, they kept going down. And I think my last check was for $6.25 or something like that, yeah.
All morning they waited.
Financially, the production in the Valley was a major boon.
It was huge. In fact, it's still, you know, people still talk about it, and you know, when it was being filmed, they spent a lot of money here. That production company, you'd see them out about town, you know, spending money.
The quickest hombre this side of the Pecos. That's Bronco Billy.
That is so cool to see the News Channel 7 logo there with Clint Eastwood. Anywho, there were more than 1,500 Idaho locals that were cast in Bronco Billy. Maybe you were there. We would love to see any pictures or memories that you have from that day, or any days that you might have been near the filming. And if you watch the movie today, you may recognize some 1979 versions of local icons like the Boise Depot, the old Ada County Courthouse, the Ranch Club, the Big Pine, and the Hungry Onion. As you are probably aware, though, some of those spots now really only exist in film and picture. Also, by the way, since we're just talking about films that came out today, today is also the anniversary of the release of a little movie called Napoleon Dynamite. Yes, it debuted nationwide 20 years ago today. That socially awkward teenager from Preston, oh, he had a big screen debut.